Hello, everyone, and welcome to our exploration of Marxism theory, one of the most influential ideologies of the modern era, developed by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels in the 19th century. Marxism has shaped the course of history, politics, and economics around the world. In this video, we will delve in the core principles of Marxism, its historical context, and also in the relation of the feminism theory and its relevance in the today's society. At the heart of Marxism lies a profound concern with modes of production, social exploitation through unjust distribution, and the pursuit of social emancipation through the transcendence of capitalism. Marxists argue that under capitalism, the means of production are owned by the bourgeoisie or the ruling class, while the proletariat or the working class is exploited to generate surplus value for the capitalists. To illustrate this, let's consider historical examples where workers have mobilized to demand better working conditions and fair wages. From the labor movements of the 19th century to the modern struggles for workers' rights, we see a recurring pattern of exploitation and resistance. This empirical evidence supports the Marxist assertion that capitalism inherently breeds inequality and exploitation. According to Karl Marx, capital is not just money or commodities. It is a dynamic force with the inherent ability to increase its own value. Marx famously described capital as having the capacity to lay golden eggs by continually generating profits for its owners. Let's consider the role of capital in modern economies. Through investments in production processes and technologies, capital enables businesses to expand and generate greater profits over time. This process of capital accumulation perpetuates the unequal distribution of wealth and power in society, as those who own capital reap the benefits of its growth, while workers often see only minimal increases in wages. Okay, let's proceed to the pyramid of capitalism system. A satirical illustration first created by industrial workers of the world in the early 20th century depicts the hierarchical structure of capitalist societies. At the base of the pyramid are the working class, comprising laborers who sell their labor power to capitalists in exchange for wages. Above them are the middle class, including small business owners and professionals. Near the top are the capitalists or bourgeoisie, who own the means of production and exploit the labor of others for profit. The structure and functions, each layer of the pyramid serves as a distinct function in maintaining the capitalist system. The working class provides the labor necessary for production, while the middle class often serves as a buffer between the capitalist and the working class, helping to maintain the social stability. Or can we say also a status quo? At the apex, the capitalists accumulate wealth and power through the exploitation of labor, perpetuating the cycle of inequality. Through this visual representation, we can see how wealth and power are concentrated at the top of society, with the working class supporting the entire structure through their labor. This unequal distribution of resources and opportunities is a central critique of Marxist theory, highlighting the inherent contradictions within capitalist systems. So, in connection to globalization, globalization is driven by the quest for profit and surplus accumulation across interconnected economies. As trans-world connectivity expands, so do do the opportunities for multinational corporations and capitalist enterprises to extract resources, labor, and markets from different parts of the globe. This process is fueled by the pursuit of economic expansion, market dominance, and increased wealth for those at the helm of capitalist enterprises. Take, for instance, consider the economic relationship between the United States and China. American corporations often outsource manufacturing of consumer electronics, right? Consumer electronics such as smartphones and laptops to China due to lower labor costs, allowing them to increase profit margins. This process is fueled by the pursuit of economic expansion, market dominance, and increased wealth for those at the helm of capitalist enterprises. Okay, so I have here a photo. Okay, so here in this presentation, in the context of globalization, the division between the global south and the global north becomes starkly apparent. The global south, comprising less economically developed countries, often bears the brunt of globalization's adverse effects. These regions are exploited for cheap labor, subjected to environmental degradation, and face economic dependency on the global north. Meanwhile, the global north, consisting of more economically developed countries, reaps the benefits of globalization, enjoying access to cheap goods, investment opportunities, and technological advancements. Right? This stark economic divide perpetuates social inequality and reinforces power imbalances on a global scale. Okay, so for instance, here the garment industry, predominantly located in the countries of the global south, such as Bangladesh and Vietnam, relies on cost cost labor. Okay, low cost labor to produce clothing for consumption in the global north. Another example here is the uh, Philippines, situated in the global south, is a significant exporter of agricultural products such as bananas, pineapples, and coconut based products to countries in the global north. These agricultural goods are often sourced from small scale farmers and agricultural workers in the Philippines who face challenges such as landlessness, low wages, and limited access to resources and technology. As we conclude our exploration of Marxist perspectives on globalization, it's essential to understand their distinctive stance. Marxists reject conventional explanations offered by liberalists and political realists. Instead, they view globalization as the outcome of historically specific impulses of capitalist development. Central to the Marxist analysis of globalization is the recognition that class remains a key axis of power. Again, class remains a key axis of power. In this framework, the dynamics of globalization are shaped by the interplay of economic forces, particularly the exploitation of labor and the concentration of wealth in the hands of a capitalist elite. As we understand the landscape of globalization, it's evident that attributing its origins solely to profit motives oversimplifies the picture. Take, for example, the global arms trade and military interventions. While profit may drive some aspects of these activities, geopolitical rivalries, national security concerns, and ideological agendas often play a more significant role. Similarly, phenomena like nationalism demonstrate autonomy from capitalist forces. Nationalistic sentiments can drive political movements and shape international relations independently of economic considerations. In conclusion, Understanding globalization requires us to acknowledge its multifaceted nature. While capitalism undoubtedly exerts considerable influence, it's essential to recognize the diverse array of factors at play, from political ideologies to cultural identities. Okay, let us proceed to the next topic. Let us explore the theory of feminism. At its core, feminism is a diverse and interdisciplinary movement advocating for gender equality and challenging patriarchal structures that perpetuate oppression and discrimination against women. Emerging from various social, political, and academic contexts, feminist theory offers critical insights into power dynamics, social norms, and the experiences of marginalized genders. In feminist theory, there is a strong emphasis on the social construction of masculinity and femininity. Unlike other theories that focus on primarily on the dynamics of transplanetary and supra-territorial connectivity in technology, state, capital, and identity, feminism interrogates the deeply ingrained social norms and power structures that shape gender roles and expectations. By examining how gender is constructed and performed within society, feminist theories eliminate the ways in which patriarchal systems perpetuate inequality and oppression. For example, in many cultures, women are often expected to fulfill domestic duties such as caregiving and housekeeping, while men are encouraged to pursue careers and assert dominance in public spaces. These gender norms are not inherent but are constructed and reinforced through socialization processes, media representations, and institutional practices. Feminist theory seeks to deconstruct these artificial distinctions and challenge the power dynamics that perpetuate inequality between genders. Throughout history and into the present global context, women have often been relegated to subordinate positions relative to men. This structural subordination manifests in various forms, including marginalization, silencing, and violations of women's rights within global communication systems. Feminist theories advocate for challenging these entrenched power structures to achieve gender equality and social justice. Feminist theory, feminist scholars assert that globalization engenders a complex array of effects on women and gender relations worldwide. While globalization has opened up new economic opportunities for some women, particularly in sectors like manufacturing, services, and informal labor, its impacts are far from uniformly positive. A significant concern is the feminization of poverty, whereby women disproportionately bear the brunt of economic deprivation. Additionally, globalization has facilitated the exploitation of female labor and exacerbated gender inequalities, particularly in low income and developing nations. This underscores the importance of incorporating a gender perspective in analyzing the dynamics of globalization and advocating for policies that promote gender equity and social justice, just like CEDAW and gender and development programs. Transnational care work and gender inequality in the context of Women's Month and the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, or CEDAW, it's crucial to examine the phenomenon of transnational care work. This refers to the migration of care workers, predominantly women, from less affluent to wealthier countries to provide domestic and caregiving services. This practice highlights the interconnectedness of global economies and underscores the unequal distribution of care responsibilities based on gender. race, and class. While these workers contribute significantly to the care needs of receiving countries, they often face exploitation, precarious working conditions, and limited access to rights and protections. In the Philippines, for example, the phenomenon of transnational care work is evident in the large number of Filipino women who migrate abroad to work as domestic helpers or caregivers in countries such as the US, Canada, Singapore, and Hong Kong. These women leave behind their families and communities to seek better employment opportunities and send remittances back home to support their families. However, they often face exploitative working conditions, long hours of work, low wages, and limited access to legal protections. Despite their significant contributions to the economies of both sending and receiving countries, they continue to be marginalized and vulnerable to abuse and discrimination. Addressing these issues requires a comprehensive approach or holistic approach that recognizes the rights and dignity of care workers and addresses the structural inequalities perpetuating gender based discrimination in the global labor market. To answer the assignment question, what defines a woman and how does it relate to Marxist theory? Based on the discussion, a woman is defined as an individual whose gender identity aligns with the societal constructs and expectations associated with femininity. This definition is influenced by social constructions of gender roles, which dictate norms, behaviors, and expectations attributed to individuals based on their perceived gender. In many societies, including the Philippines, women are often assigned roles related to caregiving, domestic work, and nurturing, reflecting traditional gender norms and patriarchal structures. In the context of Marxist theory, the definition of a woman intersects with the broader analysis of social relations and class struggle. Marxist analysis highlights the ways in which capitalism exploits women's labor for profit and reinforces patriarchal structures that perpetuate gender inequality. In Philippines, women comprise a significant portion of the labor force in sectors such as agriculture, manufacturing, and domestic work, where they often face precarious employment conditions, low wages, and limited social protections. The feminization of labor, characterized by the overrepresentation of women in low paying and informal sectors, reflects capitalist exploitation and the devaluation of women's work. Marxist feminism emphasizes the role of capitalist systems in perpetuating gender inequality and the exploitation of women's labor. Women, particularly those from marginalized communities, often face economic oppression and structural barriers that limit their access to resources, opportunities, and decision-making power. Furthermore, Marxist feminists argue that capitalism perpetuates the commodification of women's bodies and reproductive labor, which women's sexuality and reproductive capacities being exploited for profit. For example, a good example, the Philippines has become a destination for sex tourism, no, where women and girls from impoverished communities are vulnerable to exploitation and trafficking for sexual purposes, highlighting the intersection of gender, class, and capitalist exploitation. In conclusion, the definition of a woman is shaped by social constructions of gender and intersects with Marxist analysis of class struggle and capitalist exploitation. By examining the Philippine context through a Marxist feminist lens or perspective, it becomes evident that gender inequality is deeply intertwined with economic oppression and structural barriers perpetuated by capitalist systems. Addressing these issues requires challenging patriarchal capitalism and advocating for social justice, gender equality, and the empowerment of women within broader movements for social change. Thank you everyone for listening. Don't forget to like and share my presentation. Bye bye.